How to service a air drum brake. Here we got the two modulator valves on the left and the right. In your middle is your main delivery valve.
On this truck we have a 30-30 long stroke chamber. You can tell it's a long stroke chamber because of the square ports. First off, we have to remove the lug nuts and then eventually take the wheels off. Once you have both the inner and outer duals off the vehicle, you can now service the brakes.
Here we're caging the spring brake, the parking brake. Not always are the caging brakes or the caging bolt want to go into the grooves.
Here we are taking the drum off to inspect the brake pads and components for damage. Now that we have the drum off, you can visually inspect the shoes and make sure all the pins and springs are in good condition right before you take it all apart. Alright, here we're trying to take off the springs. As you can see, sometimes they can be a pain. Some guys, they'll take a pry bar or a punch and put it in there and pop them off. We decided to use a pliers on it. It all depends on your personal preference. Alright, here we are. We're going to show the removal of the brake pads. Now, sometimes they can be a pain, just like the springs, but the easiest way to do it would be take the top or the bottom shoe, rotate it towards the cab, and then out towards the hub. After you do that, the top shoe, you should be able to rock it towards the cab and also pull it off. While you're doing that, watch your fingers, watch your toes, you know. Stuff on big trucks isn't very light, but once you get that off, then you can pull out your anchor pins and inspect everything else. When inspecting the S-Cam, you're going to visually want to look at it and check there's no pitting or flat spots on it. Also, wiggle it up and down, you know, check for play, and then pull it in and out once to see how much play you have there also. On these pins, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. The outside. I'm talking on these pins, you want to do the whole section itself, and then down on these pins, all you do are the outer edges because this needs to stay dry in order to roll on the S-Cam itself.
So with the drums, you want to look for any rust, heat jacking, any smooth spots, or any cracks like this one. And you want to avoid being not too bad when you're trying to pull it off.
Alright, here we have some examples of some pads. This one is obviously good yet. You can see it's not quite down. They have a little line on here, usually about a 1/4 inch is minimum DOT spec. Here are some of the pads. Here's some things that you want to look for. This one's got some irregular wear, you know, it's pitted down in here. It's also chipped, that's a no-no. And then this one, we have some heat jacking going on. All these pads would recommend being replaced.
Putting the brake shoes back on is kind of the same as taking them off, besides in a reverse fashion.
are, we're just going to show you how to put the retaining springs back on the shoes.
Can't see shit from there.
No, not really. There we go. Once you have the pads in place and you put your retaining springs back on, you can now slip the drum back on and move on to adjusting.
Here we are backing off the brakes. The only reason why it's coming so late in the video is that unlike on a spring brake chamber, you don't need to release the brakes to remove the hub as you would on a service brake.
Here's just a visual of the brake shoes coming in contact with the drum as we are adjusting brakes. After they have come in full contact with the brake drum, back it off a half a turn.
Okay, it's tight. Remember,
I can't see that. Here we are putting the duals back on.
Now it's time to tighten up the lug nuts and get ready to torque everything down to spec. Before we set it down to torque the wheels, what we're going to do is we're going to put the caging, or take the caging bolt back out. Sometimes, of course, the caging bolt, in our case, was being a pain to come out. You know, you struggle with it for a little while, but eventually it came out. And after we got the caging bolt out finally, what we did is we got ready, we dropped the truck down, and now we're going to torque it. Torque spec was between 450 and 500 foot-pounds, and after everything's torqued, there you go. That's how you service a brake system.